I'll start over. The notice requirement provided for the open public meeting law has been satisfied. Notice was properly given. Said notice having been transmitted to the Courier News on Thursday, July 17th, as well as posted on the bulletin board in City Hall. Clerk, may we have a roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Present.
Cherry,
Present.
Graham,
Present.
McCray,
Present.
Wyatt,
Present.
Vice President Sessoms,
Present.
Council President Hockaday.
Present.
We have all members present and a quorum.
Okay. A total of 30 minutes has been allocated for public comments limited to resolutions and ordinances being considered this evening. The amount of discussion to any subject, as well as the amount of time for any speaker, will be limited to 3 minutes. If any member of the public would like to speak, please raise your hand. Let me know if you see any.
No hand is currently raised.
Okay, a motion to close public comment for resolutions and ordinances being considered this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, clerk, may we have a roll call?
So roll call to close. public
Actually, it's not
comment.
necessary. All voice vote is sufficient. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, public hearing is now closed. All right, we move to resolution R 289-25. Madam Clerk or BA, please explain the resolution.
Sure, I could explain it. This is Abby.
Thank you.
So basically what the city is looking to do is we are looking to, obviously we've been hit with these two storms and they came at a time where our budget was already prepared. Our budget, now has already been adopted. And we are looking to do a special emergency appropriation for $5 million for costs solely related to these storms. So when I say costs, I mean labor costs for all of the overtime, disposal costs for, the bulk items, as well as the vegetation that we're going around and picking up, the costs of any contractors that we've had to hire, any infrastructure damage, basically all of the costs accrued from this storm. And we are coding those with different codes based on each storm so that we can keep accurate track. But we these aren't expenditures that we had predicted, so they weren't in our budget. And this resolution will allow us to take out that up to $5 million and pay it back over the course of 5 years through the budget process.
Can you talk about its impact to our current budget?
So it won't impact our current budget, and you'll see it you'll see a fifth of it in next year's budget.
Okay, and what happens with any amount that we don't spend, or is it?
So it's up to $5 million. It's up to $5 million. We don't anticipate spending that much, but we thought better safe than sorry. Whatever we don't spend, we don't. It's just we're not going to have to pay for it in the budget.
Okay, so this is spread out over 5 years. So
correct. This resolution will allow us to spread it out over the 5 years, starting with next year's budget.
So I also noticed it indicate this is a tool that we can use from time to time. Are there any other expenditures like these that have been stretched over multiple years? I don't remember. Do we have any other going that we're paying off over a 5-year term?
I'm not, Ricky. Do you know if we've? I don't recall.
We
us
currently
doing
have
those
a currently have a 5-year special emergency for the COVID-19 loss of revenue that we're paying off, that we have 2 years left on. And I also just want to point out that whatever we don't use, we will cancel by the December meeting of this year. And that will be what the 1/5 is based upon. And any FEMA funds that might come in will reduce what we have to raise in the budget.
Okay, thank you. Any other council members have questions on this budgetary
Yeah,
item?
I had a quick question. Ricky Gartz, you said it's FEMA funding. Are we anticipating any FEMA funding due to the federal cuts?
I've been advised that the up to $18 million, they're looking to see how much would be available from our OEM director. At this point, we don't have anything concrete, so I can't give you a definitive answer on that.
Thank you.
And I just want to add that that would only be for the July 14th storm because it hit multiple municipalities and multiple counties. We don't anticipate anything for the July 3rd storm.
BA, that up to 18 million, is that across the several municipalities, or is that?
So 18 million is the number that the state would have to hit to bring it forward to the federal government. 18 million total in the state.
18 million total in the state in what regards? In terms of damages that
Yes.
we're looking to okay, that's it.
Yes, in terms of expenses that are incurred from all the municipalities. So we funnel it up to the county, we funnel our expenses up to the counties funnel their expenses up to the state. The state, if it hits that threshold, will bring it to the federal government, and then the federal government will decide.
And if it doesn't hit the threshold, then our contingency plan is to borrow against future budgets to cover.
This is the contingency plan,
Right.
basically, is this money. But this is also for July 3rd because July 3rd, impacted Plainfield and just so few other municipalities that the 18 million won't happen for that.
Is the only potential support federal level? Is there anything at the state level being considered for municipalities?
I hope so, but we have not been made aware of anything yet. We're in touch with the representatives from the governor's office. They're definitely aware of the need, but we, have not received any news on anything that would be appropriated at this time.
Questions from council members?
So this is basically going to go for the cleanup. This has nothing to do with the residents or anything at all?
This is city incurred expenses.
The city. Okay. All right. So.
But could the city incur expenses helping residents?
Yes, of course. Like how we're removing the trees and the bulk pickup and all the things that the city is doing, which,
Right.
I would argue many of those things are to help residents.
Yeah, almost all of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So residents do benefit from
Yes.
additional resources for cleanup, et cetera.
Exactly.
So I'm sure, and again, to the incurred expenses and of course with the cleanup and everything. So as far as like the payment, does the administration have the authority to authorize the payment of funds without the council approval or no? How does that work?
No, it's the same process, as always. So you'll see the 1/5 of whatever number we land on under, 5 million or below in next year's budget, which of course you guys have to approve that budget. So you'll have that. And then any expenditures in terms of OE that are over the $44,000, that are over the threshold, we still have to come forward for resolutions and all of that.
Okay.
So it's the normal spending process.
If I could just add, Councilwoman Briggs, to answer Jones, to answer your question. If we do require an emergency contract, that gets ratified by council at a later date. So if there's something that the administration needs to do and can't wait for a council meeting, we still have to come back for your approval after the fact.
Okay. So this is going to be a budget item, correct? And
correct.
If it is, like what line item is this going to be on? What line item is this going to be on?
Do you mean like
have its own separate line item that's called special emergencies, storm related expenditures?
That's what I wanted to know. Okay. Okay.
So I have a question with regard to residents needing help. I'm assuming that the help that we can provide is when they bring their damaged debris and garbage to the front of their property. It isn't like we can pay for our municipal employees to go on to private property into one's basement and help with clean out. That doesn't apply to that, or does it?
No, you mean like if they hire a contractor to come do work in their house or something like that?
Yeah, and not necessarily for a reimbursement, just as if there may be a couple of residents who don't have the means to clean out their basement from the water damage. I'm just asking a question. Is
Let me,
that
Well,
so
I,
let me jump in here,
okay?
Maddie. Um, the city normally doesn't go on private properties
Mhm.
to do any cleanup on private properties. We do that in instances where we need to remediate a property that has been abandoned or where the property owner doesn't maintain the property, and then we
Mhm.
place liens. In the case of these two storm events, we have partnered with organizations where there were hundreds of volunteers out this past weekend that went into people's basements and removed damaged items and hauled those items to the curb. That was all done by volunteer organizations. And the city then incurred costs by removing those items from the roadway. We normally don't do that. The solid waste and sewer department normally provides 2 bulk pickups annually, but these are extraordinary circumstances that required us to go above and beyond. And so to that extent, we have removed all items from the roadway, items that were damaged in people's basement. But we don't send employees on people's properties to do
Right.
any cleanup unless we are abating a situation where we place a lien.
Yeah,
So,
I totally get that, and thank
okay.
you for the response. I was just saying, in this sort of hardship that some of our residents had, I just wanted to know if it were possible, and if the answer is no, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I just wanted to know.
Now, let me add, we had a storm benefit concert yesterday.
Yes, sir.
So the proceeds from that will
Mhm.
go to help residents. First, we will take care of those families that lost loved ones, helping them with funeral
Mhm.
costs. And then, based on an application process, we will use the remainder of the funds to provide some level of financial assistance to our residents. But again, those are not city funds. Those are funds that we raise through the generosity of donors.
And great. Since you jumped on that topic, may I ask, is that like first come, first serve? Are you going to collect applications up to a certain deadline? And then how is that money dispersed after, of course, giving priority to those that lost a family member?
Council President, may I interject here? Council President?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned. Just as your legal counsel, we've convened this evening for the very express purpose of amending our budget to include $5 million for city expenditures. The conversation now has gone so far afield from what our task is tonight. My only concern is, should we limit this conversation to the item before us? If there's additional, this is a special meeting for one item. We noticed it only for this one item. I feel we may have gone outside of the purview of what this special meeting was. But I understand this is a very important item for discussion, and it may be something we need to take up at another council meeting. But we've noticed this only on this one item. I believe we need to stick to that one item.
So I agree that it is a very limited meeting. I do think that the points that everyone raised so far are related, at least ancillarily to the storm. So I don't find them, really out of bounds, but I will ask, all council members to just bear in mind that it is one thing. Bear it in mind. But again, these are difficult times. I think on all ends we are trying to work with each other and extend grace to each other, and the city's doing more than it normally does, going above and beyond. Council members are going above and beyond. So, I don't necessarily have an issue with the questions, but just please bear in mind, we don't want to stray too far off. But for the record, Councilman, I think, it's on the edge. We're going far, but I don't think you did so far. So did you want to finish your thought, Councilman Graham?
No, I mean, the topic just came up, so I just thought I'd ask about it, just to have more clarity so that when I'm asked about it, I kind of know how to answer it. That's all.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
I have a quick question with regards to the 5 million. Is that what we've incurred so far, or is that a projection of what we think we're going to incur?
That is a very generous projection. We have incurred about 150 in labor, about 100 in disposal costs at the yard between the vegetative waste and the bulk, and about like 5,000 in other expenses. So that is a very, worst case scenario number.
It's an up to, not
Yeah,
a.
exactly.
And with that,
BA.
because based on the numbers that you just shared, I don't think you even came to 750,000. Should there be another storm between now and wherever, that up to 5 million approval could include any other emergencies or crises, storm related, and that money be tapped in for those cases. Would that not be true?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer. I don't think that we would be able to, because I think
You wouldn't be able to.
yeah, I
It
think
would
this
have
is
to be another
specific.
special
Yep.
emergency at that point. Each one stands on its own.
Yeah.
But just let me add something in an attempt to respond to the councillor's question. The numbers that you've been given so far are very preliminary numbers. There's a lot of infrastructure damage from these storms that we have to deal with. If you go on certain streets, you will see that trees that were uprooted have left giant holes in the sidewalk. So there's got to be expenditures related to this storm to cover those repairs that the city will have to undertake. I can point to one home in particular where there's a giant hole from a giant city tree that uprooted the sidewalk, and it's about 4 feet deep. So there are a lot of issues like that across the city where we're going to incur expenses, and these funds are going to be used to help cover the costs resulting from, the storms that wreak havoc across the city. So we don't know all of the costs as of yet. What you've been given, very preliminary.
And thank you for that clarification. There's 3 major streets right here that Kensington, Hillside, Marlboro, they all have those huge tree holes left. So I definitely understand that. And thank you for the clarification that this preliminary assessment in terms of what we have spent in actuals is way less than what you predict will be the final. And I just wanted to see how far off that was, and whether or not, because we're still in storm season, I feel like every night we're on storm watch, should another one happen, would we have to convene a very similar meeting again? So thank you for that clarification.
Okay, anyone else?
I have 2 questions. Has there been any damage to any city properties? And would these funds be able to cover that? And then the second question, can we utilize some of these funds for remediation and potentially like Mill Campbell?
So in terms of remediation, I do believe that, anything that came up from the storm at Milt Campbell, we would be able to, fix that. We are able to fix that with these funds. And then in terms of city damage, there was some city property that was damaged, but also the large bulk of that is, as the mayor was explaining, infrastructure damage. And so, that is going to be covered with these costs.
Thank
This,
you.
this question may be considered off topic by council, but I think again, it's related to the budget. So is there any anticipated revenue as a result? People are going to be doing a lot of repairs. Are they going to be going through that same permitting variance process? And is that potential revenue as well to offset some of this cost?
Yeah.
Another question. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You can go answer a question.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, yes, I mean, there will be people who will need to take out permits for work done. And yeah, I mean, that would count as additional revenue. I wouldn't expect it to
So I
be
think this is
close.
where
Yeah.
Dave Mancello weighed in, where we're going, we are going somewhat restrained away from the true purpose. And I think that's what the Corporation Council was making reference to.
Yeah, my only concern, thank you, Mayor, is not that I'm not looking to limit any debate. My concern is that when you call a special meeting, you are legally only obligated to deal with that matter and that matter alone. So my only concern is that this is an amendment to the budget. I asked that because anything that goes beyond is really a new discussion item, and we didn't notice for that. So these rules, they don't apply to every meeting. They just apply to special meetings. And that's my concern is
So
that we limit. Yeah.
any question regarding the budget, you think is related?
I think if it has to do with this specific appropriation, and this amendment to the budget, then it's fair. But I think anything beyond that would be outside the bounds of a special meeting. If we were in a regular meeting, we could go any which way we wanted to, and that's fine. But in a special meeting, because it is only called on a 48-hour notice, we are legally obligated only to address the matter with which the clerk, that he has put forward as the item for debate and ultimate vote. That's it.
Okay, so speaking of our infrastructure, and being that this amount is considered generous, knowing that the flooding that happened is not unique just to the city of Plainfield, but with regard to our infrastructure, can we use any of the money to do some sort of study so that we can figure out a way to alleviate the flooding problems that happen typically in certain blocks and certain areas of our city, not only in a storm, but when there is a storm, it's factual that these particular blocks in our city always flood.
That's not what this is for, Councilor.
Okay.
This is to cover costs incurred as a direct result of the storm events.
Sure. Okay.
And Council President, I recommend that if this is a discussion item that council wishes to take up, that there at the next available meeting, you could have full robust discussion on all the ways in which money could be used or how we could try to mitigate storms in the future, mitigate damage associated with storms. Those are all fair game at a future council meeting.
No, I just feel like answering questions just to have a better understanding is all that I'm looking for. And not looking for a back and forth or a debate. Just want to have a better understanding. That's all.
Understood. Thank you.
All right.
Council President, one question, please.
Go ahead.
Yes, just as far as the transparency, will we have a public dashboard or provide regular updates on how the money is being spent? Or do we have a prioritized list?
I can answer that, Councilman. Any emergency expenditure must come back to council. So if there's something that can't wait because of the storm and has to come back, there is a process. It has to be approved by the business administrator. It has to be approved by the purchasing agent. And at a later date, it comes back to be ratified. That's the word they use, ratified by the council. If it's not emergency expenditure and subject to this line item in the budget, Then it comes as any other item. The BA mentioned that. Any other item, it must come for your approval.
Oh,
All right, that's it.
Okay. So, I had another. Well, I think he kind of answered my question. I had a two-part. I just wanted to know who decides what we can spend the money on, and can we use this as a surplus in the future?
No, we wouldn't use this as a surplus because anything that we're not going to spend, we're going to cancel at the end of the year.
Okay. All right. And then this, I just thought about this also as well. Does PSC&G, do they pay for the electric poles or no?
Once again, I would suggest that that's outside the scope of this debate, but we can certainly get back to you on any information regarding PSC&G for a subsequent meeting.
All right, just a general question. Okay.
I mean, I think it is related. If she asks, do we pay for the utility poles out of this money? 5 million, it's related. I
Well,
mean,
the answer is no. I'm sorry. I thought she was asking about restoring PSC&G poles.
No, I was asking about the PSC&G.
No, and I can answer that. That's an easy one to answer. Yes, the answer is no.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
No problem.
Anyone else? Because if not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt R 28925.
Second.
Okay, clerk, can we have a roll call?
Council members Briggs Jones,
Yes.
Cherry,
Yes.
Graham,
Yes.
Craig,
Yes.
Wyatt,
Yes.
Vice President Sessoms,
Yes.
Council President Hockenay.
Yes.
It's unanimous, this resolution is passed.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Okay, thank you all for all you do for Plainfield.
Thank you.
Take care.